Cool. All right. Go ahead and get started. Can everybody hear me? Can someone say something just to make sure that everything is good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. All right, awesome. Good to see you guys. Hope everybody's doing well. Bit of a slow week for me, honestly. There's no real setups for me today, neither Tuesday, Wednesday, nor Thursday. So kind of just sat on the screen, didn't really do much. No executions. Everything was kind of a bit sloppy. Maybe on Wednesday it was decent, but there was no real setups until like late New York, and just wasn't really my cup of tea. So kind of just sat out for the week. But I do want to show you guys my first, I guess the first round of trades that were, or that I was stress testing or running drills for with the swing setup. I don't know if you guys remember, but I did bring this up a couple of weeks ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago, where I wanted to start testing out swing, or pretty much trying to swing pairs that aren't the ones that I scalp regularly. I think it would be a bit difficult to swing and scalp the same pairs at the same time, but that would obviously naturally be the next step after I finish a lot of the stress testing. So I guess I'll have to wait and see for that. But I have 3 trades today. Number one, Euro odd, my setup here. I think a couple of you saw this if you stayed on the Zoom after I finished last week. But essentially, my setup here is, yes, I am essentially looking for a type of reversal, right? Because obviously externally we are bearish, but I'm anticipating a small bullish move due to a sweep, right? Obviously internally you're still bearish, so you have a CBOS. This is the pullback high after it's solidified, and then we have unwillingness after this high breaks. So this is an internal structural disruption after a sweep of liquidity. So I was anticipating a sweep model to come in and give me something, right? At least for the short term. Unfortunately, this first one was a loss, right? Realistically, if I was managing this as I should have, which I wasn't, but I did with the following ones, right? We can anticipate that this is a confirmed reaction, meaning that I can technically move my invalidation up into here, right? But I will say I made the mistake that if I'm not going to manage my trade, like I'm not going to have any type of management, then I should have used this low as the invalidation, right? Why? Because this is, right, the solidified low that led into the final impulse, right? That led to a break of structure that caused the transition present here. So that was a mistake on my end. I should have used the full stop loss, because if I did use this full stop loss, let's see, I think it actually still would be in play. Oops. Yeah, it would still be in play. Right, so mistake on my end. It actually, the trade itself would have been correct, but I just made the mistake of not placing my valid invalidation point, because as you could see, that would have still been in play and that would be right on its way to TP. So lesson learned there, properly use invalidation points no matter the time frame. On to the next. Right, EuroCAD, I was looking for here, right? The only thing that I didn't like with this setup was that I would have liked for this high to have been swept, right? In order to then potentially use this SC or inefficiency fill, sorry, as a point of interest to then continue lower, right? But once again, I will say I don't like that I am technically forcing a reversal. I think I should be waiting for a more continuation type of setup. But with this one, it was a break even, right? Because we came into the POI, we reacted, right? And then we gave a break of structure. And because we gave the break of structure, then I can move my invalidation point here, which is right at the break even point. So as soon as we swept, right, the first level of structure, this came immediately, hit the break even, and then continued higher. So I think, let's see, maybe this would have been what worked out. Yeah, this would have been what worked out, but I don't see myself trading this type of POI just because I don't see any type of model in play. So this one, break even is what it is. And the last one, which is UJ. So this one was a very clear model in my opinion. We see that yes, we are technically bullish into the upside, right? But the order flow is still continuing here, low, high, and yes, there is a break, a full reversal BOS break here, an external CBOS. But more importantly, right, there is a POI, we have the confirmed reaction, and then that gives you the impulsive move to the downside, meaning that we have order flow disruption in play, order flow disruption here. So really, I was going based off the inefficiency fill with my SL at invalidation, right? And I was anticipating this to continue or to give us a very disruptive move to the downside, especially because we are trading at a very high premium, right? So this was justified solely for the OFD. And due to the OFD, we got a very nice move to the downside. I actually could have held this even further, but this was like a 3.4 or something like that. So, right, covers the break even, covers the initial loss. So, right, if I actually would have played my cards right or played my cards correctly as I should have in terms of rules, then realistically I would be +3R up on there, +2R here. That would have been, almost perfect per se. So it's looking good. I guess we're just going to have to keep waiting for more setups. There was one setup I was looking for yesterday, which was the USD CAD setup. We were around here yesterday. Yeah, right around here. So as this was here, I was anticipating we would come back into a turbulence point, the final sell to buy, so that we can then create an impulse to the upside, and then that actually just went before the entry was tapped. So I don't even think we reached like a decent discount. Yeah, we didn't. But yeah, this would have been the setup of the week in my opinion, just because we are externally bullish, and I was looking for a continuation. I was looking at the LGC in play and potentially looking for the entry here, but unfortunately that just did not hit. But that UJ was actually pretty good. I think we came into a daily. No, we did not. Yeah, there was an H12 POI there, but I did not see that at first. That would have been almost a $6 trade, but 3.44 is not bad at all in my opinion, especially for it being around 2-3 days ish. Yeah, around 2-3 days from Friday. Yeah, about 2-3 days. So overall, not too bad. Would the full? I don't know. What is STB? What is STB? But yeah, overall, the swing approach is looking okay. I guess we still have to keep working on it. Sell to buy. Which one are you talking about?
I think it was the UCAD.
Which one? Oh, yes. Yes. You're talking about this. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. 100%. Right. You could say that I kind of over refined a bit, but yeah, this technically is the final sell to buy that is valid. Yep. And if I'm looking at this kind of setup, like this could have been more of a deeper swing because I could use this perimeter, but my TP is external high, which is here. So yeah, could have definitely played that better. But yeah, good eyes on that one. Let's see. I have a question. How do you manage your risk? Isn't there a chance of overexposure? No, the risk is never different, bro. The risk never changes. The risk is always the same, right? The only thing that we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, or whenever we first brought this up, and the biggest thing for me, the reason why swings just are not as appealing to me as scalping is swap, because obviously on Wednesdays triple swap to accommodate for the weekend. So that's the only thing that I can see becoming an issue. is that triple swap, right? In terms of like spread, or in terms of like what else would I say? Like commissions, like that is not really too much of an issue for me because I'm swinging. My SLs are bigger, so because my SLs are bigger, the commissions are way less. And we kind of talked about that with the EU and gold comparison from a scalp POV, where it kind of makes more sense to look for higher volatility assets rather than lower volatility assets because the SL sizes are bigger. And because the SL sizes are bigger, your lot size is smaller if you are going based on percentages. Um, but in terms of overexposure, yes, I do think I noticed that the first week where I was kind of bullish on AJ for a bit, but I didn't take a position or I didn't look for a position. But I was bearish on UJ, so it didn't really make sense from a swing standpoint to sell UJ and buy AJ because that, even though it could be considered maybe a type of hedge, it is like a potential overexposure, and I could take two losses, or I could just burn out the losses from from one win based on the other loss. So the only overexposure that I could see occurring is pretty much going by the crosses. Like for example, like EJGJ, AJUJ, um, AUGU. I mean EUGU. Sorry, AUNU is also another one where they kind of move relatively the same, like gold and silver, obviously. Um, that's the only issue that I would see. So I'm going to be very careful with what positions I take, solely because I don't want to be like, for example, if like I have another situation where AJ is bullish, UJ is bearish, then okay, which one looks more bullish and which one looks more bearish, and that's probably the one I'm going to take. But the exposure is the same, bro. If you're swinging, there's no reason. It should all still be consistent. Whether it's 1%, 0.5, doesn't matter. It's all the same. Cool. But yeah, I was looking at this. Unfortunately, this one did not occur. But that is what it is. Does anybody have any case studies they want to review? Anything they want to speak on? We also, I know Alex hasn't been on the calls too often, but we have been working a lot on Corsica in the background, so we should be hearing some updates on that soon. Excuse me. Cool. Does anybody have any case studies they want to go over? Any questions, concerns, anybody? Nothing? I know a lot of you guys have been around for a while, so I see a lot of you guys doing well in the background. Right, I could name a few. Andre, Brian, Daniel doing very well. Rodrigo doing very well. Ronaldo doing very well. I swear I had a topic for today, but honestly, I completely forgot. Can you go over knock? How about you show me what you're looking at for knock, and then we can go over it. You know how we roll in these zooms. Watching through your phone. Don't know what you want me to say here, bro. It's bullish as always. Bullish as always. Just seems like every time any type of NQ or S&P or Dow Jones, as soon as they dip, they just keep going up. And like, unfortunately, that just, or maybe not unfortunately, but just looks like that's just how it is. Like, dip into a turbulence point continuation, right? Obviously, I don't like that. This is an unsubstantial new high, and I don't like that there is a internal transition here after the sweep. So, if I was to be bullish from a swing sense, I would 100% want this to break, because then that would solidify the high. We would have a range, and then we could have a continuation higher. But yeah, I was also looking at right, this I haven't paid too much attention to, but looking at crude oil, NQ, and gold, if I was to ever move to futures. Just like a lot of these are pretty messy though, if I'm being honest. Like this is New York. Like this is very hard to trade in my opinion. Right? Maybe there's an OFD here, if you could see it. Right, OFD here, and then there's come back into inefficiency, and then this. Right, I would have to TP at a POI because this wick took out everything, took out pretty much the entire week. So this looks like it could continue, or this could potentially retrace a little bit deeper, but it's so bullish, so I'm not really liking that. Gold is one I actually would really like to get into, if I'm being honest. If there's one asset that I would really like to trade, it's gold. Just because it moves really fast. The price action isn't horrible. It could be better, right? It could be better. So there's a very clear setup here on Wednesday. Right, high, low retracement, unwillingness, break of structure, internal transition, continuation. So, I don't know, maybe. But yeah, this is kind of something I would definitely like to look at. Just because the scalp list today was a bit lame. Like there wasn't really anything here this week that I saw. This wasn't a trade I took, it's just a back test I saw. Saw this after it happened, so didn't show y'all that one. I didn't really see anything worth the time today. Or this week. Right, like yeah, this was messy. Right, Thursday here we didn't come back in any efficiency, and then I wasn't going to continue. I wasn't going to force the continuation. That one that wasn't good. This one wasn't good either as well. Didn't like that. Yeah, just super messy. Just super messy. Did not like this at all this week. How do you go about building your models? I don't know what that question means. Don't understand the question. So the models were built, at least structural disruption, or both disruption concepts were built around 2021, right? And it was with the help of some of the admins, right? They were actually the first ones that, I don't want to say they created the idea, but they're the ones that brought the idea of solidified points to me, where if you have a structure break, then the previous higher low is technically solidified. That's where that rule came from. And then what I did with those rules is just create sequences with them, because all disruption really is a failed conversion, whether it's via a POI or whether it's via structure. So most of my backtesting at the time was in real time, right? All I did was maybe look backtest maybe 20 to 50 examples. Personally, I've just never been a fan of backtesting, because if you go look at, let's say, the price action during COVID, it's not the same as what it was today, right? So when it comes to my models, building them is it's just essentially a sequence of, or a combination of concepts that I'm using. But in terms of the backtesting side of it, I'm only backtesting so I can solidify the rules, but I'm stress testing so I can kind of find the validity to it. So most of the data that I have is from examples that I've done like in real time. I think that's always been the best form of practice. That's also why I'm pretty big on journals with you guys. I just think that giving you guys feedback to what you guys are actually doing is probably the best way for you all to learn. And it's over time, I've kind of noticed that the people who actually send me journals have improved the most, at least from what I see. Obviously, like I can't, there's people that aren't active in the chat nor with journals, so I can't really judge them or judge their progression. But in terms of the progress that I've seen, or the best form of progress that I've seen, comes from the people who do journals, and I give feedback. So that's kind of why I do that, because I think stress testing, real time trading has always been the best way to refine the skill. Hopefully that makes sense. But I mean, if you guys want to see, like, I guess a small template, let me see, of what I'm doing for the swing. Here, I'll show you guys that. Very simple. It's not anything crazy. But this is my Notion template for it. So hopefully I can get like at least 30 trades, 30 to 50, just so I can get a hang for it. I don't think I need to do 100, 1,000 examples, right? I would only need to do that, in my opinion, if I'm only just now learning how to trade. But usually within 30 to 50 trades, I could tell if something works or not. Especially with swinging, just because we don't get these opportunities often. But as far as building more models, I find it a bit difficult. The reason why I say that is because you can only make so many combinations with the information that you have, right? So with price, right, let's actually go back to this. What can actually happen, right? Like in terms of the environments that we want to trade, we obviously only want to trade trending environments, correct? We don't want to trade consolidation environments. Why? Because let's say this high is this is a bit. Actually, let me do that better. Right? Because we have an entire protocol. Right? As to what no man's land is. Right? So we have a trending market. Right? We have a high into a low into a retracement that's solidified, and then we have unwillingness here. Right? And then we have unwillingness again. So once we have double unwillingness, this is a sign of no man's land, which is an environment we do not want to trade. So that means that the environments that we do want to trade are technically trending markets. And then in a trending market, what can happen? Obviously the typical approach is low, high, catch the retracement off a fib, or maybe a sell to buy scenario or a sell to buy area, and you want to buy that into the next high, right? That's option one, right? Option two is obviously trending markets are not always that clear and clean, right? Obviously, sometimes, let's say we are low into high into retracement, and then the retracement fails, right? So let's say this time you take a loss from the original continuation. Well, this protocol has to be given a name, right? And this is what we call structural disruption, right? When we have structure essentially fail, and then we get a continuation entry, right? Maybe it's not as clean as I'm showing it to you, but that's the protocol, right? And the other protocol is if we have a POI that gives a retracement and then fails, right? This, although it could seem relatively the same to a structural disruption, it's a different approach because we only analyze price through structure, POIs, right, and potentially liquidity, right? That's why our entire approach is direction, liquidity, execution, right? What is the direction via structure? What is the liquidity saying via order flow and liquidity grabs? And three, how are we going to execute based on the previous two? So those are the only two protocols that can happen in terms of if something is to fail, right? One would be via, like I said, the structure POV, and the second one would be the order flow POV, right? So that's two protocols for the same movement, which is a failed continuation, right? And then the third protocol is if, right, we have a continuation BOS, right, into a full BOS, and that would be an LGC, right? These are pretty much the only things that I could see potentially happen, right? Because price can only go up or down, right? And if it's going to go down, something has to be disrupted if we are in a bullish market, assuming. But if we have a failed conversion to the downside, then we have a continuation to the upside, which is another protocol in and of itself. So if I'm trying to think of another model, it would probably include one of the three original protocols, right? Because the sweep model, right? The sweep, right, is, well, that's not a sweep there, but a sweep, let me see if I could find one. Let's see, right here. We can argue this being a swing. I mean, a sweep, sorry. Right, we have a sweep of liquidity, we have a conversion, and then we have the continuation, right? Although it could be considered a model, the sweep in and of itself can be a model, right? The conversion internally has to be an SD or an OFD. Has to be. Right? Because if you have high, low, retracement, solidification, unwillingness, break, structural disruption, right? Or if you want to argue it from the other POV, maybe there's a buy to sell here, right? You can maybe say there's an internal reaction and then that breaks through, then that's OFD. So something like that has to occur for a transition to occur, right? Because something has to fail, right? Because if we're looking at a trending market, then this has to be counter trend to the original direction. Therefore, we need something to fail internally so that we can pursue the previous target or the external target, sorry. So in terms of building a new model, I do find it a bit difficult because what type of sequence would you want? What type of sequence would you look for based on the concepts that are shown, right? Maybe you can add complexity to the model in terms of you only trade a certain time of the day or a certain hour of the day or hours of the week, right? Let's say you only trade this setup on at this time of the day at this day of the week, right? Okay, then that adds complexity to the model, meaning you will have less executions but more probability if that is something that has been proven to work for you. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here or no? Because outside of the four models or the three models, I'm sorry, it's very hard to find a new sequence based on the information that we're given or that I've given, per se. Hope that makes sense. So yeah, I would say it's pretty difficult to find or to create a new model. Because realistically now it's just a matter of, if you know the models and you know how to identify the models, it's not just a matter of getting the direction right. So yeah, definitely good question. Good question. Maybe only patterns can be included, and that's too much. What do you mean by patterns? Because realistically, bro, like something that confuses me is like every trading approach, doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what you're using, it's all a pattern. They're all some type of sequence, right? If A happens during B, then C should occur, something like that. Some type of sequence. Like OFD is a sequence, right? LGC is a sequence. Like every trading style I've ever seen is a sequence, right? Maybe it's not just a typical pattern. Yeah, well, the head and shoulders, right? The thing is like, there's two buying opportunities off of H and S here. Like the pattern doesn't matter, bro. Like I wouldn't say it matters. I would just say, how good are you with using that rule? What are the details that are necessary for that to be a successful thing? Like, right? It's not just about, for example, I'm sure having an HNS is not just about having an HNS pattern and then you want to trade the breakout, right? There's obviously going to be some nuance to it. There's going to be something internally or some type of detail that you have to add in order to make that type of sequence viable or successful in any way, right? I hope that makes sense. But like the pattern that you're trading, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter at all. You just got to know how to enter, or when to enter, how to enter, how to manage, and where to target. That's pretty much like all you have to look for. Which is why with most of my executions, right? Let me see. I'll just pull one up to see from previous Zoom. Right, like how to enter. Okay, we know DLE is a thing. It's our thing, right? DLE. So how do I enter? Well, I will only enter if I have a model that favors a direction. Just because that's been proven to me personally to be the most profitable thing, or or the highest success rate, is to see something give me a model in alignment with the previous external trend, right? Because this could be bullish like externally over here, but that doesn't matter to me if we have a bearish structural range here, right? So we have CBOS, and then we have the conversion. Okay, so now because we have the conversion, I have a perimeter to place my SL on and a perimeter to put my TP on. So how do I enter is via the model. When do I enter? It's also based on the model. How do I manage? Well, that just depends after the execution, right? And how do I target or find my target? Well, that's just based on the previous external trend, right? So it really all just falls down to the last three models, or the first three models, I'm sorry, and being able to differentiate them, because sometimes like we can say we can have, right, a structural disruption, but we have a pullback reaction, and then now we have a low high retracement LGC, and it can convert. So we had an SD model and we also had an LGC model, right? So the models are not perfect, right? Like just because you see an SD does not mean it's going to happen 100%, right? All these are potential clues as to what price could do next. And the cool thing is that's why we have invalidation points. Well, if we have an invalidation point, then after this break, this is my invalidation, right? Because if we are to continue bearish, then this high should not break. Therefore, if it breaks, then my bearishness is now invalidated, and I now have an LGC in play, and then that's where it could be the real trade. Hope that makes sense. Cool. Does anybody have any questions, concerns? Anything you guys want to bring up? What do you mean? What do you mean in a spectrum of right or wrong? Feel free to unmute yourself too, if you like. What do you mean by right or wrong? Yo, what's going on? NAS 100 and NAG? What's NAG? What is NAG? Yo, Daniel, can you stop annotating, please? Yeah, exactly, 100%. That's a that's a very I don't even want to say I don't want to say deep, but in terms of swinging and scalping, there's just so many pros and cons. Like there is no which is better, if that makes sense. Nas futures. Yeah, there is no right way to go about it in terms of the type of trader because yes, you can scalp and you can say that you're limited to X amount of hours of the day for X amount of days of the week, and you don't have to consider, let's say, swap fees. Let's say you don't have to consider um, a whole lot of I don't even want to say commissions, but I would say the downside to scalping, as we talked about in that Zoom, is one, the barrier of entry to your positions is very, very small. Like, let's say most of these executions, especially if you're on M1, like most of these, you will only be able to get in the trade between 1 to 3 minutes, right? Whereas if you're swinging, then potentially your entry is there for a couple of hours, so you can really just enter whenever, or you could just set a limit. But you could potentially be eating a lot more in swap fees, especially after on Wednesdays when it's triple swap. But at the same time, there's probably more peace of mind. Well, I can't say which one has more peace of mind because maybe some people want to be in and out and they're done, or some people want to have minimal chart time and they're willing to, or they have the patience to wait for those results. So there's just no right or wrong. It's just a matter of which one works for you and which one falls in alignment with your schedule. Like obviously people work, people have kids, like what can you do? Because like whenever people ask me if how they can balance trading with like a full-time job or full-time school, then okay, swing, focus on H4 plus. Like you could even focus solely on the daily, and find points of interest like that, and then obviously set SLs and validation. Yeah, maybe your positions will take a couple of weeks, whatever, and there are downsides to it. Like I said with the swap, um, sometimes there's a lot of concentration loss in terms of maybe you see a position go 1-2 hour up and then it comes right back to break even. You know, it is what it is. Like for example, which one was it that I was looking at? There was one that I was looking at. I believe it was AJ. Oh wow, this one moved. Yeah, this was. Oh, I forgot about this actually. This was something I was looking at as well, but I didn't note this one just because it never reached the entry. It kind of just tapped it, but this wasn't the one. I think it was AU. Yes, it was this one. Let me delete this. Like, let's say we're talking a swing POV. If I'm looking at structure, we have a low into a high. We have a retracement. This low is solidified here as the pullback high, or the pullback low, sorry. Right, so once this is wicked here, this is technically, even though it's kind of like a sweep, it's technically a break, meaning internally we are technically bearish, right? Meaning this is a viable sell, which would have failed, right? And then that failed, gave us this order flow into this previous high. That previous liquidity was taken, but this then gave an LG. So this gave an LG, meaning we did not break the previous external high. Therefore, this is unwillingness to continue higher, and we have some type of viable move here. And you can see that we break again, but that's okay because we haven't solidified our low yet. So once this CBOS happens, that solidifies the low. So we have a bearish structural range. And let's see. Excuse me. Right, we come back into inefficiency. I would even probably take the position solely off of this wick here with my SL at invalidation. But here's the question now is, let's say you were to be in this position, and we're obviously aiming for an external low. Would you be okay with seeing this go 1.8 R into profit, go right back to break even, and then go right back to TP, right? Like, is that something you would be okay with? Because as a swinger, that is going to be a thing that occurs, right? It's going to happen. Like, it is what it is. Which is, it can be difficult, but I mean, as long as the rules are followed, that's okay, you know? So that's kind of just like a personal question. Like, would you be okay with that? Or do you need the result to be instant, right? But if you do need the result to be instant, is that out of insecurity or is that out of what you have tested, you know? There's definitely a lot to it. right? At least from the mindset of the type of trader that you wish to be. But yeah, any more questions, concerns, guys? Anything else? Yeah, that's why journals are so important. Very important. And I think it's so underrated. I think people like let me tell you, in the public, nobody has ever sent me like any of their journals. And I was thinking of even doing like a series on YouTube where I just review journals that are sent via the public, and nobody takes advantage of that. And I just think that's stupid. Like why would you not want to get feedback on what you were doing so that you can improve? Like, right? Maybe it doesn't have to be from me, right? But it could be from somebody else. But who else offers that type of service? Like who actually sits down and looks at all of your journals and gives you some type of feedback based on that, you know? I just think it's stupid when people don't take advantage of that, because it's, in my opinion, it's been the one of the best forms of improvement. Like I don't mean to call anybody out, right? But Ronaldo has been sending me journals for months. Like I don't even remember. Like it's been a very long time, and he can probably tell you firsthand that it's definitely helped a lot. Maybe not because of me, but maybe because I give a different POV to what he's doing, and that helps him reflect and look at things from a different POV, and that could cause some type of growth, right? So maybe I'm not potentially causing the growth, but I'm just giving a different POV so that you can grow based on, you know, the reflection that you make of the information. Um, and maybe that's not the case, right? Maybe I'm just over exaggerating it a bit, but it's not just him. I've seen that with I would say 10 to 15 others, right? Like I would say I'd have 10 to 15 others that have sent me journals over the past, like let's say over a year consistently, or to some level of consistency. But yeah, definitely, I think it's the most underrated thing out there, in my opinion. Introspection, cool word, introspection. But yeah, I 100% agree. And it doesn't even need to be like my feedback. Like let's say you guys want to do like a member webinar, and you guys want to have your own webinar and just come on and talk or whatever. Even obtaining feedback from other members is a good thing, because there's two ways to learn lessons, and it's directly and indirectly, right? Like if somebody if somebody I know gets a DUI and goes to jail for it, that indirectly is going to teach me not to want to do that because I don't want the same result, right? And where it's directly, it's okay. I see somebody get some level of success via X avenue. Okay, then maybe that can incline me to look into that type of opportunity or something similar, right? So that's a direct lesson. It changes perspective a lot that you weren't thinking while trading. Exactly, like whenever all of us look at this chart that we're all looking at here, everyone sees a completely different thing, right? Or maybe not completely different, but there's a couple of differences to what everybody sees here. Maybe I know, right, that this high did not take out this high. Maybe somebody else notes that, oh, this low didn't break this low off the bat, right? Everybody sees it differently. I couldn't tell you how you see it. Like, it's just impossible. But being able to accept or even have some type of feedback from someone who isn't yourself could, you know, like Eugene said, could be introspective. But yeah, Other than that, do you guys have any questions, concerns, any final topics that you guys want to cover? I personally think making journals in some way pushes you to see trading as a journey. Yeah, 100%. I will say, like, the hardest part about journaling is keeping up with the analytics of it. Like, keeping up with some type of win rate or keeping up with some type of just some type of number. I think that's very difficult just because you have to be 100% accountable for yourself, and not many people have that type of discipline. Will there be any mental zooms? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Right now, we're kind of just sticking to what we're doing with these zooms, with Corsica, with the free zooms, and with the book. Right, but I don't know. A lot can change in 6 months. You know, it's been 6 months for this year, and I told you guys that we would take RCV or we would take everything that we're doing on a yearly basis. So honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm always coming up with ideas of what I should do or what I could do, but it's still a bit soon for me to say what the plan is long term. But you could just contact Sergio if you'd like. Maybe he'd be down to do something. Just send him a message. Yeah, he'll respond to you pretty quick. So just let him know. But yeah, any more questions, concerns, guys? Anything you guys want to cover before we wrap up today's Zoom? Yeah, man. I hope. Besides the chart work, besides everything trading related, I hope I can just cause some thoughts in your head. That's kind of like my entire goal. Cause you to think. Feel as if I can do that, then maybe a bits of clarity can come your way. You should be looking at creating a podcast if you can. That's what. Yeah, man. I don't know. Like, I did have this idea of because like I have a really nice camera, right? Like me and Sergio bought cameras. Like we were gonna do a whole podcast. This was like 2021. We were gonna name it Checkmate, and that was like the entire like gist of it. And it just never came to fruition because Sergio lives in Austin. I live in Dallas, so it was gonna be very difficult for me to have to travel, 4 hours every week, to do that podcast. But in terms of doing something like that, I wouldn't probably want to do a podcast. I just don't think that's something I would want to do. But I would like to do, like we covered this in last week's Zoom. If you stayed after I finished, I would like to just like sit in front of camera and talk about stuff. I think that would be cool. And I hate being on camera, so could be a great way to step out of my comfort zone. And like, but I don't want to make that trading related though. I wouldn't want to make that trading related. Like a personal, I guess, goal of mine would be to create some type of personal brand over time. I think that would be pretty cool. Just because that can open the doors to a lot of connections, a lot of people, a lot of opportunities. I think I've shown you guys an example. I showed you guys an example last time, but we can go ahead and look through. Like, let's see. I don't know. Let's see, like I don't consume as much content as I used to. But there is this guy that I watch here and there. What is his name? Oh, that's his name. His name is Ryan Horgan. It's this guy that talks about like I guess self-improvement, but from a POV of like a 40-year-old. And all he does is sit here. Actually, this isn't the right page. He has another page. Sorry. Right here. Where he has, I don't watch most of these. I watch like, for example, let's see, last one I saw, this one. This is one of the last ones I saw, like 35 and have no friends. Like what? But like he just sits here and talks on camera. And I think it's very interesting. I think it's very interesting. I would love to do something like this. Maybe sit at a park, sit in my car, drive around, talk about stuff. And I could start that whenever. It's just like, I guess it's just a matter of taking the leap of faith. Be a great way to kind of interact with people in a much personal way, in a much more personal way. Cool. Exams are done. Perfect. You do a good job of showing how to think and not what to. I mean, honestly, bro, it's just I try to think of. I don't even know how to explain it, but like, it might just be how I'm wired. But I want to think about not how to respond to you, but I'm trying to think of my response to you, what you would say, and then what comes after that. Like, try to look at. I think that's called second order thinking, but that's kind of what I like to do. I don't like to just be superficial with the answers. I like to think through and just look at all the possible combinations of answers that I can come up with and try to come up with one that makes sense, that considers all of the options. It's a bit confusing, but I try to do that. That's kind of the gist of it. Maybe more like Drag Creek Wrangler. There you go. Perfect example. Yeah, this guy. Love this guy. Bingo. Like this guy. I love listening to this guy. Like completely different walk of life, completely different lifestyle, completely different upbringing, but he has great advice, you know? Great advice is timeless, and I think it fits in almost any industry or almost for any individual. Like the Iman look? No, I wouldn't say anything like the Iman look. Like, do you mean Iman Gadzi? Iman Gadzi? No. I wouldn't want to do anything like him. Because everything he does, let's see, like, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I love the guy. Like, I love his story. I think he's really good for the entrepreneur space. But everything that he's doing, like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but every single video that he's making is for the purpose of selling. Which is okay, but he does it in a great way. His delivery of his message is immaculate. I don't think I've seen a better one. Like, it's on par with Alex Hormozi's, in my opinion. I just don't like that every video is for the point of selling, you know? Like, if you guys want some, I guess, some sauce, like, you want to look at some cool videos, like, especially business related, go to Alex Hormozi's page. He has 2,000 videos, right? Go to his oldest. Let me see if I can find some. These old videos that he made, these are gems, man. Because this is as raw as it gets. Like, this is like as raw as it gets for him. Like, this is literally him spitting out all the sauce that he knows. But yeah, anyways, that's kind of it for my rant for today. That's something I would like to do. I think it would be cool. Also, just to see some progress from, let's say, because I'm 25 now, right? Maybe when I'm 27, 28, I could look back at these videos and see what type of progression has been made. What, do I sound like 30 or what? I don't know, man. Like if I was to idolize someone in terms of how they think, it would 100% be Jordan Peterson. Just because he's such a he's a very deep thinker, and he's a very passionate guy. Like this, you can spark up a conversation, and this dude will literally start crying because he sees it. It's very hard to explain. I don't know how to explain it, but I love this guy. The way that he thinks, the way that he maintains frame, right? The he's just such a great thinker. Like, but there's also like a dark side to all of this stuff. Like, let me tell you, like, there's a dark side to this stuff. Like, there's a reason why I stopped watching like a lot of this stuff, is because it's like a type of mental masturbation as well. Like, if you're listening to this stuff just to listen to this stuff, right? Because you get a dopamine hit. Like, you get a dopamine hit out of listening to stuff like this. You get a dopamine hit about talking about stuff like this. So there has to be some type of balance to it. Even though I kind of hate the word balance, but too much of anything is technically bad. The Alchemist. I've heard of the book. I don't know what it's about. I have no idea what that's about, but I've heard of the book. What is this about? Interesting. Let me see if there's a book that I would recommend. Let me see. One sec. Okay, probably two books I would recommend that I really liked, and it's typical Robert Greene. Right, typical Robert Greene. Anything Robert Greene, I think they're fucking gems in my opinion. We can look this up here too. And then the second one is Meditations. Great book. Excellent book. These are the two books I would recommend here. But yeah, anything Robert Greene is very good. The Narcissist Bible, yeah. Yeah. 48 Laws of Power, yeah. If you're referring to 48 Laws of Power, yes. That is the Narcissist Bible 100%. I don't like that you put it like that though. But yeah, if you read the book, like, you can see exactly what people are doing. Like, let me tell you, like, I've met quite a bit of semi-successful people and successful people. And let me tell you, I would say, like, at least 60% of them are fucking narcissists, man. Like, at least 60% of them. And I don't know why. I don't know why. Like a lot of hyper successful people I meet are not hyper. I'm not gonna say hyper successful. I haven't met a billionaire, but super successful like millionaires. A lot of them are narcissists. And if you read this book, you can kind of understand how they do what they do and why they do what they do. Like I don't know if I have that in me, if I'm being honest. Atomic Habits, yeah, it's a classic. Rich, yeah, the Babylon, yeah. I've heard about that one as well. Let me see if there's something here as well. I don't think I can find this. The 0 to 1 rule. You guys should watch this video. I think it's rule number 2. It's the 0 to 1 rule. It's something I really, really like. It's made me really like not waste resources per se. Pretty much the 0 to 1 rule is like if I don't have a phone and I get a phone, that's 0 to 1. But if I have a phone and I want to get a new phone without needing a new phone, then that's like a 1 to 2. So trying to focus on only really spending on 0 to 1 rather than 1 to 2 is a great way to I guess be a little bit more minimal and not waste resources. I hope that makes sense. But if you guys watch the video, I think it's rule number 2. Yeah, sorry, yeah, it is rule number 2. Invest in things that take you from 0 to 1. But yeah, other than that, that's kind of all I have for today. What do you guys think about the like sitting on camera and talking? I think it's going to be so awkward at first. It's going to be horrible at first, but it's something I definitely do want to do. And maybe once I get a little bit more free time, I'll probably do it. But I mean, I do have a lot of free time like in the evenings. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll start that soon. Maybe not. We'll see. Yeah, and I could do like I could get pretty creative with it. Um, let's say like I could do some by myself. I could do some with a close friend of mine. I could even like do a Zoom and just sit there and we just talk. Like we just have a conversation. Would you be open to an interview? What kind of interview? Honestly, I don't think I've ever been in an interview. If I'm being honest, like I've never interviewed for a job. I've never interviewed for school. I've never, um, yeah, I've never really done an interview. That's kind of, I guess that's kind of weird to say. I mean, sure. I mean, I would be open to it, but like, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't consider myself important enough to like do an interview. Like, you know. Like, I don't think I have that much pull, if that makes sense. And like, who would interview me? That would also be another question. Because like the sole reason for me wanting to do that I don't even know what to call it, but I guess just talking on camera is to meet other people. Yeah, no, it's 100%. It's all it is. It's a form of expression. Yeah, I agree. That's all it is. I don't know. We'll see. I guess I have to figure out the setup. I have to buy a mic probably. And I could pretty much start a brand new YouTube channel over that. Like, I wouldn't want to put that under RCV or anything. I would want that to be like a personal me thing. What kind of podcast? Where are you located, by the way? Oops, excuse me. You're in New Jersey. Oh, nice. I heard New Jersey's very pretty. Yeah, man, like for example, getting the equipment ready is not that difficult. It's not that difficult. You just I mean, it just depends on the quality of mics that you want, but you could probably set that all up with less than 5K. Like dope cameras, dope mics. And like I think the whole like location doesn't really matter. Like you could really have a podcast like anywhere as long as you have the equipment. Like the cameras and the mics and the mixers obviously. What causes someone to be important enough? I don't know. I just like for example, some people have like really good pull. Like if somebody says something online, like they'll have like 50,000 to 100,000 people listening to them, and I think that's like a lot of pull. But at the same time, it's like I'm not necessarily doing it for like the monetary aspect. I'm doing it for the network aspect. Yeah, you have a good resume. Yeah, I mean, from launching RCV to fucking up with a bunch of projects to let's say to then trying to revamp everything. I guess so. I mean, you could say I've been through a couple of things, but maybe it's just me comparing myself, I would say. For goal's sake, what's the goal then? Like, what kind of podcast do you want? What kind of topics do you want to talk about? What would be your end game with that? Like, what would you want the podcast to be about? Like, what's the gist? What are you trying to do? You know? Because to get a podcast to stick out, I would say I think it's more so going to be about your personality. Like, do people like you? Do they like the people that you bring on? Like, who are you? Like, why is your message important? Like, what would you want to talk about? Because really, like, getting the audience is not going to be the most difficult thing. It just depends on like the whoever you bring on, right? Like, if you know people with reach, like, you will get like an influx of uh, of listeners for X amount of time, but then it's your job to retain them. Philosophy, yeah. I had like a big phase like 2020, 2021 with philosophy. I kind of hate that I kind of strayed away from it. But yeah, definitely let me know how that goes. I wouldn't mind going to Jersey for like a weekend. That would be cool. I think I know someone in Jersey too. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, that would be cool. Just get your voice out there, especially like with me. Like I kind of realized this in the Spanish Zoom. It's just like that Spanish Zoom I did with I don't know if you guys know him, but Alejandro. He used to be, or he goes by Eric Ramirez too. Um, he was a RCV member like back in the day, like back in the day when we were still in IML transitioning. And so he has like a lot of pull like with the Spanish audience. And what I've noticed is like I am technically like a 25-year-old with like Mexican heritage, and like you don't see a lot of Mexicans out here like actually like doing stuff like that. Like or personally, I haven't seen many right that speak English and are very not very successful, but like I guess are on the wave if that makes sense. Like I don't see many of those, bro. If I'm being honest, like even in real life, like I don't know more than like 5 people of Mexican heritage that are like making moves, or like trying to make moves at least. So it could be. I think it could have some upside. But yeah, I guess you guys might motivate me to actually go through with it. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, exactly. That is exactly how you become important enough. Yeah, because like maybe that's not like the right words for me to use because important enough. That's hard to measure. But yeah, I think it would be cool. You never know. It is. It is. And the thing is like I kind of underestimate as well, like with the whole YouTube stuff. Like I heavily underestimate how many different perspectives there are of people that are watching. Like you could really like connect with so many people and not have any idea like why or how. Like it's just you just don't know what people go through. You don't know what people have lived through. And if they resonate with what you're saying, then they'll stick around. Because I will say like people like Jordan Peterson and Hermosi and people like that have definitely like helped me out during like bad times. At least bad mental times at least. So you never know. But yeah, I guess you're right. It's just a matter of I guess taking that leap. But yeah, I guess I'll look into it, guys. Maybe I'll start it this month. But yeah, I guess maybe this is a good stopping point, guys. Or even someone like Sam Sulek, like a fitness influencer who started just doing a vlog of him taking the result workout, which is unconventional, but is blown up in the last couple of years. Yeah, exactly. But I will say he came along at like not the perfect time, but he did start like a wave. Started a big wave with what he was doing. It's just a different, because I'd never really watched him, so I can't really say much. But I have heard about him. But he did kind of start that wave with just vlogging, like fitness experiences, right? A matter of time. There's no perfection, progression to an ideal. Power is a sense of mental self-worth imposed on others until they form part of that subconscious power play. That's a that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that one. I'm gonna take a picture of that one. It ties with what Alex Mosey said. Successful people think they know more, but feel less important, and always they are not enough. A balance that keeps them looking at themselves and others. Yeah, 100%, 100%. The more the more you don't know. It's kind of how it goes. And I think that comes from, I guess humility is the right way to say it. Because the second you think you know it all, you realize you don't, and you get humbled for it. Because it's impossible to know it all, you know? Cool, man. Good having you on here, Jordan. But yeah, I think we can wrap it up here, guys. Good Zoom. We should definitely... Hold on, give me 1 second. We should definitely have more conversations like this, guys. Like, I enjoy this stuff, you know? But yeah, definitely, Eugene, keep me updated on that podcast. I will definitely be a listener. Would like to see how far that goes. That's a. I love seeing things come from. I don't want to say nothing, but like from something very small to something very big. I love to see that stuff. But yeah, other than that, I guess I'll see you guys in the next Zoom.